You are a man by age, but are you a man by character? Look in the mirror, not at your beard, your height, your paycheck, but at your inner world. What do you see? Is it the fire of a man who stands on his own? Or is it the flickering shadow of a boy dressed up in the costume of adulthood, trembling beneath the weight of life's demands? This is not a gentle question. It's not meant to coddle, it's meant to cut because the truth should. We are living in an era plagued by a quiet disaster, the manchild epidemic. A generation of men who look the part but fail to live it, who want the benefits of adulthood without the weight of responsibility, who age but do not evolve. They laugh, play, scroll, consume, but rarely lead, build, protect, or endure. Psychologists call this the pure eternus, the eternal boy. He's the man who refuses to grow up, not because he's evil, but because he's comfortable. He's spent years in the warm bath of modern convenience. He lives in his parents' home, deep into his 20s or 30s. He floats between meaningless jobs or none at all, quietly satisfied to let someone else pay the rent. Ambition has withered in him, replaced by hours of video games, pornography, TikTok loops, and fast dopamine hits that numb the slow burn of real purpose. He avoids commitment to career, to family, to growth, because commitment requires sacrifice, and sacrifice is painful. And pain to the man-child is the enemy, not a teacher, not a forge, just something to flee from. We see this everywhere. Wives and girlfriends describe their partners not as men, but as boys. They have to raise. It feels like I'm parenting him. They whisper in therapy. The weight of adulthood has been shifted to women who are forced to carry the burden of two lives, their own and their partners. This reversal erodes respect. Where there is no respect, there is no intimacy. And where there is no intimacy, love dies quietly, not in betrayal, but in disappointment. But this isn't just a romantic tragedy, it's a spiritual one, because deep down the man-child knows he's not what he could be. There's a gnawing shame in him, a quiet guilt. He may laugh it off, distract himself with memes or bravado, but when the lights go out, he knows he's not proud of the man he's become because he never became one. And that shame, it festers. It grows into self-hatred, depression, quiet, anger at a world that expects more from him than he has the courage to give. And yet life does not care. The world is not waiting. The hammer will fall. One day a crisis will come, a job loss, a breakup, a death, and it will demand that he be strong, decisive, responsible. But he won't be ready because he never trained for it. He never matured. He stayed a boy, safe, small, soft. This epidemic isn't born from evil. It's born from excess safety. From a society that told boys they were special, but never expected them to struggle. From parents who protected too much, handed out trophies too easily, and never let failure sting. From a culture that replaced meaning with comfort, replaced discipline with pleasure, and replaced masculinity with neutrality. Masculinity was not toxic, it was just abandoned. Where are the rites of passage? The mentors. The challenges that force a boy to grow or break. In their absence, the boy simply stalled. And now we have a crisis, not of testosterone, but of responsibility. This is the man-child, not a villain, but a tragedy in motion. Yet tragedy is not destiny. A boy can become a man, but not through time alone, through trials, through fire, through transformation. And that begins the moment he says, enough. Enough hiding. Enough blaming. Enough numbing. Enough waiting for someone else to fix his life. That's the turning point. That's the awakening. That's when the boy begins to die, so that a man can rise. This is not about becoming cold or cruel or perfect. It's about becoming responsible, capable, grounded, and respected. A man who leads himself, who others can lean on, who builds instead of drifts, who commands respect instead of begging for approval. It's about becoming the kind of man that boys admire, women trust, and enemies hesitate to provoke. And that journey begins by facing the epidemic honestly, not out there, but within. Because the first man-child you must defeat is the one inside you. How did we get here? How did an entire generation of men, strong in body, yet so fragile and will become frozen in the limbo between boyhood and manhood? The answer isn't a single moment. It's not a villain you can point at. It's a slow erosion, a quiet cultural sabotage that began decades ago and embedded itself in everything from parenting styles to entertainment, from school systems to social expectations. Let's start with the most insidious influence: overprotective parenting. In previous generations, boys were taught through experience, scraped knees, hard work, and painful lessons. They were expected to fall and rise. But somewhere along the line, we decided that pain was the enemy. We padded every corner, softened every word, and replaced resilience with safety. Parents, in an effort to protect, instead prevented. Prevented challenge, prevented discomfort, prevented growth. When you save a child from every fall, he never learns how to stand. Many boys today were shielded from hardship to the point of helplessness. They were told they were special, but never challenged to prove it. They were given comfort, but not competence. So when adulthood arrived, they lacked the inner calluses necessary to face it. The result? Grown boys who crumble under pressure because they were never tested. But it didn't stop at home. Our education system joined the sabotage. Boys were told to sit still, be quiet, follow rules, and suppress their wildness. Their competitive nature was pathologized. Their need for movement was medicated. Discipline was labeled oppressive, and masculine energy became problematic. Boys were not taught to channel their strength. They were taught to fear it, so they retreated into screens, into games, into fantasies. Technology, too, became both pacifier and prison. The rise of on-demand everything, food, sex, entertainment, created a generation of instant gratification. Addicts. Why build a life when you can simulate one? Why pursue purpose when pleasure is one click away? Pornography numbed desire. Social media warped identity. Video games became digital arenas where boys could pretend to be warriors while their real bodies softened and their spirits stagnated. And behind all this is a deeper psychological wound: the absence of masculine mentorship. For generations, boys learned how to become men from men. Fathers, uncles, coaches, warriors. They were taught strength, restraint, responsibility, and courage through proximity. But today, too many boys grow up without that guidance. Fatherlessness is rampant. Even when a father is physically present, he may be emotionally or morally absent, disconnected, distracted, or defeated. Without strong male role models, boys turn to celebrities, influencers, or worse, to no one at all. They drift. And in that drift, they absorb the lie that manhood just happens automatically with age. It doesn't. Manhood is a conscious crossing, a painful becoming. Even culturally, we've lost the rites of passage that once marked a boy's transition into manhood. Ancient tribes sent boys into the wilderness. Warriors endured trials. Builders were apprenticed and tested. There was a clear moment. You are no longer a boy. You have earned your place among men. But in today's world, there is no such line. There is only blur. Boys turn 18 and are told they're men, but nothing has changed. No challenge has been overcome. No self has been forged. So they fake it. They act out a version of masculinity based on ego, aggression, or rebellion. But underneath, the boy remains insecure, anxious, unprepared. And society, for all its lectures about equality and empowerment, often ridicules or dismisses male growth entirely. The very word manhood is controversial. The idea of male strength is feared. We're told to sit down to check our privilege, to stay quiet, and in doing so, the very aspiration to become a strong, grounded, responsible man is labeled as toxic. What message does that send to boys? That their strength is a problem, that their instincts are wrong, that their development is dangerous, and so they retreat deeper. Either into passivity or performative masculinity, both hollow, both fragile. This is the psychological and cultural trap. We didn't just stop teaching boys how to grow, we actively taught them not to. We gave them comfort instead of challenges, validation instead of virtue, safety instead of strength. And now we see the cost: a generation of men who are afraid of commitment, allergic to responsibility and lost when it comes to identity. A generation drowning in ease, yet starving for purpose. But here's the truth, Machiavelli would whisper. If he stood in this world, the world doesn't care what made you weak. It only respects what makes you strong. It's not your fault that this system failed you, but it is your responsibility to break the cycle. To reject the softness that was handed to you like a gift, but was actually a cage. To seek out struggle, to choose hardship, to reclaim what it means to be a man. Because in the end, comfort is the enemy of transformation. And the longer you live in the warmth of childhood, the colder life will be when it finally demands that you grow. Immaturity always collects a debt, and the longer you delay manhood, the heavier that debt becomes. You may not see the collapse all at once. It doesn't come like a thunderclap. It comes in quiet moments. A partner who withdraws, a job you didn't get, a project you couldn't finish. A life that begins to feel small, dull, and unworthy. That's how the manchild's fate unfolds, not in spectacular disaster, but in a slow erosion of dignity. The first casualty is your relationships. Love cannot survive when one person plays the role of partner and parent. Many women today are exhausted, not because they don't want to love, but because they're forced to carry a boy who should have become a man. Instead of feeling cherished, they feel burdened. Instead of being protected, they're forced to protect. And eventually something dies. It's not just attraction, it's trust, admiration, respect. You may think your charm or sensitivity is enough to hold a relationship. It's not. In the long run, women do not want to mother their man. They want to admire him, to rest in the strength of someone who can carry weight, solve problems, lead when the storm hits. When you cannot be that anchor, you become a liability. And no woman dreams of marrying a liability. But it's not just love that suffers. Your career does too. The man-child resents hard work. He avoids responsibility. He waits for the perfect opportunity that never comes. He skips from job to job, unwilling to commit, fearful of failure, paralyzed by self-doubt, and slowly the world moves on without him. Promotions are missed. Talents go undeveloped. Potential rots in the basement of good intentions. And the most tragic part, he knows it. Deep inside the man-child carries a shame he cannot name. It lingers in the background, a faint echo that says, "You're capable of more. More to get." And you know it, but instead of facing that truth, he drowns it in distraction, hours of scrolling, binging, numbing. His outer world may look functional, but his inner world is crumbling. Because no man can respect himself if he knows he's hiding from the life he was meant to build. That shame becomes anger, sometimes turned inward, sometimes projected outward. Resentment grows toward successful peers, toward women who no longer show interest toward the world that demands something of him. But the problem is not out there, it's within. The child in him wants life to be easy, wants applause without achievement, wants love without effort, wants success without risk. But life doesn't work that way, and it never will. This internal contradiction creates a mental split, a boy in a man's body, pretending, coping, compensating. He may speak boldly, even arrogantly, but it's a mask, a shield for the wounded, truth he cannot admit. I'm behind, I've stalled, I'm not proud of who I've become. And here's the final consequence, the one no man can escape forever. Time, every year you delay your growth, you fall further behind. The gap between who you are and who you were meant to be widens. Opportunities shrink. Regrets pile up. The world won't pause for you to catch up. And when you wake up at 35, 40, 50, still unsure, still unbuilt, still drifting, it may be too late to reclaim what was lost. This is the cost of prolonged immaturity. It destroys love, it sabotages purpose, and worst of all, it erodes your own self-respect. Because deep down, every man wants to look in the mirror and feel proud. Not perfect, not famous, just proud. And that pride can't be bought, it can't be borrowed. It is earned through responsibility, effort, sacrifice, and growth. And it starts the moment you decide. The boy in me has had his time. Now it's the man's turn to rise. Imagine if Niccolo Machiavelli were alive today watching the modern man through cold, calculating eyes. He wouldn't be impressed. Not by your potential, not by your dreams. He would look at you, soft, distracted, dependent, and say, "This creature will not survive." Because Machiavelli, the 16th century philosopher of power and realism, was not interested in fantasies. He dealt in harsh truths and in a world now drowning in excuses, comfort, and emotional fragility. Machiavelli's ruthless perspective might be exactly what today's men need. You've heard the self-help gurus, you've read the motivational quotes. They told you to believe in yourself. Machiavelli would scoff, "Belief is nothing without power. Hope is useless without execution." If you want to become a man of weight, a leader of your own life, you don't need more positivity. You need principles that demand strength. Machiavelli's first law: stand on your own. In The Prince, he warned against relying on mercenaries, soldiers for hire, because they don't fight for you with conviction. They are weak, untrustworthy, and will flee when danger comes. His point wasn't just military, it was metaphorical. If your life depends on someone else's effort, parents paying your bills, a girlfriend organizing your future, friends solving your problems, then your kingdom is already lost. You are not a prince, you are a pawn. A real man builds his life like a fortress. He develops skills, earns income, creates structure and shoulders his own burdens, Machiavelli would say. Do not wait to be saved, build your own army or be conquered. His second law: learn to command. He who wishes to be obeyed must know how to command. Machiavelli wrote, but command isn't about shouting orders or controlling others. It starts with mastering yourself. Are you impulsive, lazy? Do you fold under pressure? Then don't expect anyone to follow you. Because the first person you must lead is the man in the mirror. Commanding yourself, your time, your habits, your energy is the beginning of real authority. Machiavelli's idea of leadership wasn't about charm, it was about gravity. When you walk into a room, do people feel your presence, or do they overlook you? Like background noise? Cultivate strength, clarity, and follow through. Do what you say you'll do. Say what you mean. That's how you create presence. That's how you command. His third law: respect over love. This is perhaps Machiavelli's most famous principle. It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. In modern terms, it means stop trying to be liked. Stop chasing approval. Be someone who is respected, even if that respect comes with a hint of fear. Too many modern men are desperate to please with women, with employers, with society. They want to be accepted, they dilute themselves, but when you chase love without strength, you become forgettable. Replace that with a commitment to integrity and self-respect. Machiavelli wouldn't tell you to be cruel, but he would tell you to be formidable. And when people sense that you are not a man to be disrespected, that you have boundaries, strength, and resolve, they treat you differently. Lastly, Machiavelli teaches this brutal truth: good intentions alone are not enough. Results matter. A man can be kind, well-meaning, and still fail. Machiavelli demands more effectiveness. Can you execute? Can you adapt? Can you survive when things get hard? That's what separates men of power from boys with potential. Machiavelli doesn't flatter. He doesn't console. He challenges you to become what you were always meant to be. Not safe, not passive, not invisible, but strong, cunning, respected, and feared when necessary. He isn't your therapist, he's your war general, and the war is against your own weakness. The question now is, will you take his counsel or continue living as the manchild? Machiavelli would have quietly discarded. So how does a boy trapped in a man's body finally grow up? Not by waiting, not by hoping, and certainly not by being coddled with more motivational fluff. The transformation from manchild to modern prince begins the moment you adopt a new mindset, one that's ruthless, strategic, disciplined. The mindset of Niccolo Machiavelli. The manchild is addicted to comfort, allergic to responsibility and paralyzed by indecision. The fearsome man, guided by Machiavellian wisdom, is the opposite sharp decisive, grounded in action. Let's break down the key principles Machiavelli would demand you follow to become that man. 1. Cut the cord of dependency. Machiavelli warned that a prince should never rely on mercenaries, those who fight for pay rather than loyalty. In your world, mercenaries are the people you depend on to do what you should be doing yourself. Are you still living in your parents' house because it's easier? Are you letting your girlfriend manage the finances, make plans, clean up your life because you don't want to deal with it? Then you are not a man. You're a dependent. Machiavelli would say, you cannot rule if you cannot carry your own sword. Start here, take radical responsibility, move out, even if it's uncomfortable. Learn to manage your time, your money, your mess. No more outsourcing adulthood. The fearsome man stands alone, not because he rejects help, but because he no longer needs it to survive. 2. Embrace responsibility. Especially the hard ones, the manchild avoids challenge. He delays tough conversations. He hides from leadership. But Machiavelli's prince doesn't wait for ease. He walks into difficulty and makes it his forge. Are you afraid to apply for that higher-paying job? Apply anyway. Have you been dodging the difficult truth with your partner? Say it. Have you avoided learning that new skill because it's uncomfortable? Dive in. Each act of responsibility strengthens your spine. Machiavelli would remind you, fortune favors the bold, growth is pain, but so is staying small. 3. Develop strategic cunning. Machiavelli prized intelligence. He warned rulers not just to be strong, but to be clever. A fox to recognize traps, and a lion to frighten wolves. The manchild is gullible, impulsive, and easy to manipulate. He speaks before thinking. He posts before planning. He trusts the wrong people. The fearsome man learns to observe, calculate, and move with precision. He studies human nature, sets long-term goals, and never reveals his full hand. He keeps his emotions in check and his strategy sharp. Don't just be strong, be smart. The world is full of traps, liars, and hidden games. Machiavelli demands that you see through them all and never become someone else's pawn. 4. Cultivate physical and mental toughness. Machiavelli knew that weakness in any form invites attack. If you're flabby, weak-willed, or easily rattled, people will take advantage of you, ignore you, or dominate you. So hit the gym. Train like your life depends on it. Because it does. Strength radiates. When your body is strong, your energy changes. You walk taller, speak clearer, and people treat you differently, but don't stop at the body. Build a mind that doesn't fold. Face your fears. Stand up for yourself. Speak when it's uncomfortable. Defend your principles, even if no one else will. Each time you conquer fear, you kill the boy and awaken the man. 5. Command respect, not approval. The man-child begs to be liked. He hides his truth. He fears offending. He wants to be everyone's friend. But Machiavelli would say, it is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. In the modern world, this means stop people-pleasing. Stop softening your voice, your message, your boundaries. Command respect by doing what you say, showing results, and being someone others depend on. Not because you beg, but because you deliver. The world respects results. Machiavelli made that brutally clear. Be the man who is fair but firm, kind but not soft, approachable but never a pushover. 6. Become bold in action. Machiavelli's prince doesn't wait for the perfect moment. He takes calculated risks. He seizes opportunity. He creates fortune instead of waiting for it. Stop waiting for confidence to arrive. Stop waiting for the stars to align. Start taking action. Even if your hands shake, apply for the job. Start the business. End the toxic friendship. Cut the excuses. Move forward. Boldness breaks inertia. And Machiavelli believed that boldness more than goodness changes history. These steps are not suggestions. They are weapons, tools to kill the man-child inside you and give birth to a man worthy of respect. Because in the end, no one will hand you power. You must build it. You must earn it, and you must protect it. Machiavelli's voice echoes across centuries, not to coddle you, but to challenge you. If you want to be a prince, start by ruling yourself. You are not a Renaissance prince, ruling a kingdom with armies and castles. You don't wear a crown, sit on a throne, or command vassals with a flick of your wrist. But the world you live in, the office, the city, your home, your mind is still a battlefield. And Machiavelli's laws still rule it. The enemy is no longer a rival duke. It's weakness, distraction, temptation. The invisible forces pulling you back into mediocrity, keeping you soft, aimless, dependent. That's why Machiavelli is not some outdated relic of the past. He is your secret weapon in a chaotic modern world. So how do you apply his ancient wisdom to your current life? 1. Build your inner army skills. Income independence. In Machiavelli's time, a prince who relied on foreign mercenaries was doomed. In your time, you are doomed if you rely on others to support you. Still living with your parents because it's easy. Still letting others fix your problems, cover your bills, clean up your life. You've already lost. Machiavelli's command is clear. You must build your own army. That means skills that pay you, a job that gives you leverage, systems in your life that make you self-sufficient. It doesn't matter how small you start. What matters is that you start. From career building to basic life management, independence is your first battleground. 2. Become strategically unreadable. In The Prince, Machiavelli advised rulers to appear virtuous while internally maintaining control, distance, and calculation. He knew that transparency is a trap. Today, everyone overshares on social media in conversations, even in professional settings. They bleed vulnerability, thinking it builds trust. It doesn't. It invites analysis, and analysis invites weakness. In your life, cultivate mystique. Speak less. Let your results speak for you. Share selectively. Stay calm under pressure. Make others wonder what you're thinking. When people don't know your fears, your plans, your limits, you become powerful. Just like the hidden strategist Machiavelli admired, silent, prepared, in control. 3. Lead by command, not by begging. The modern manchild asks, "What do you want me to do?" The Machiavellian man says, "Here's what's happening." In your workplace, take initiative. Stop waiting for permission. Own projects, make decisions, accept blame, deliver results. Your boss doesn't need another child to babysit. He needs someone he can rely on. In your relationships, set standards. Don't cling or apologize for your needs. Lead with calm authority. A man who knows his direction doesn't chase, he attracts. Machiavelli wrote, "He who wishes to be obeyed must know how to command." That starts with commanding yourself, your time, energy, emotions, so that others feel safe and inspired in your presence. 4. Train in body and mind like a warrior. Machiavelli told princes to always study the art of war, even in times of peace. Today, most men study Netflix and social media. Reclaim your edge, train physically, hit the gym, learn a combat sport, push your endurance. Why? Because strength translates. A strong body reflects a strong will. Train mentally. Read books on power, psychology, history, money. Learn how humans think. Learn how systems work. Know what's coming before others do. A man who is both informed and physically capable is dangerous. A man who is soft in both realms is disposable. 5. Act. Then adapt. Machiavelli warned that fortune rewards the bold, not the perfect, not the over-prepared, the bold. So apply this now. Send that application, make that call, start that project, end that toxic relationship. Speak the truth, take the risk, then adjust. Stop waiting to feel ready. You won't. Machiavelli's prince didn't wait. He struck, then adapted as needed. You should too. Machiavelli's power didn't come from cruelty. It came from clarity, from understanding the world as it is, not as we wish it were. You don't need to rule a country to use that insight. You just need to rule yourself. In this modern jungle, the man who learns to act with strategy, lead with presence, prepare in silence, and move with strength becomes untouchable. This is your final warning and your final invitation. You've seen the truth. You've recognized the boy still living inside the man. You've felt the weight of wasted time, missed opportunities, and soft decisions that have cost you more than you ever admitted. But now, there's no more room for denial. You are at war with yourself, and in war, hesitation is death. Niccolo Machiavelli would not pat you on the back and say, "You're doing your best." No, he would look you dead in the eyes and ask, "Why are you still weak?" Because now you know better. And if you know better but still choose comfort over growth, dependence over discipline, softness over sovereignty, then it's no longer ignorance, it's betrayal. Self-betrayal. That is why this moment matters. This is the crossing point, the bridge between who you've been and who you could be. And Machiavelli would tell you, burn it. Burn the bridge to boyhood. Destroy every excuse, every backdoor, every comforting lie that tells you it's okay to remain the same. The world does not reward good intentions. It rewards power, action, clarity, and results. That's the game. That's the brutal beauty of it. You do not transform by merely learning. You transform by deciding and then doing. Not someday, not when you feel ready, not after another podcast or video. Now this is where your evolution begins or dies, and you must choose. Stay where you are in a soft cocoon of indecision, scrolling life away, waiting for a breakthrough that never comes. Or move. Break the loop. Change won't. One thing, speak up, stand firm. Do the thing you've avoided for months, maybe years, because every time you delay, the manchild inside you grows stronger, he whispers. Just one more day, just one more distraction. And every time you listen, your potential starves, Machiavelli said. Where the willingness is great, the difficulties cannot be great. In other words, if your will is truly burning, no obstacle can stop you. And if an obstacle stops you, then your will was never real. So prove it. Prove that you are ready to bury the boy and rise as a man. Not just in appearance, but in action, in presence, in power. In principle, visualize yourself 12 months from now. A man who walks into a room and changes its energy, who handles his business, who earns respect not by demand, but by example, who protects, provides, and pushes forward even when life hits hard. That version of you is real, but he won't emerge unless you kill who you are now. Not gradually, not gently, ruthlessly. Like Machiavelli taught, if an injury must be done, it should be so severe that one does not fear its consequence. Don't kind of change, don't try to grow, don't hope things will get better. Burn the bridge, kill the excuses, rise or rot. And as you begin this journey, remember, this isn't just about you. The world needs strong men, focused men. Strategic men, women need them. Children need them. Communities need them. So lead first yourself, then others. This is your life to command. This is your legacy to forge. The time for softness is over. Burn the bridge and never look back. In a culture where comfort is abundant, but character is rare. The greatest threat to modern men isn't poverty or oppression, it's prolonged adolescence. The message is clear if you want respect. Fulfillment and power in this world, you must earn it by shedding the boy inside you. This isn't about toxic masculinity or outdated gender roles. It's about maturity, accountability, and self-mastery. Machiavelli's wisdom teaches that the man who waits to feel ready will never be ready. That strength without cunning is useless, and cunning without strength is cowardice. You must become both the lion and the fox. Strong in action, strategic in thought. Stop seeking approval. Stop outsourcing your problems. Take full responsibility for your life, your path, and your presence. Practical application. Move out if you're able. Stop living on autopilot. Start training your body and sharpening your mind. Speak less. Observe more. Say what you mean and do what you say. Hold your boundaries, be fair, but be firm. Let your results speak louder than your words. Most of all, stop drifting. Purpose doesn't arrive, it's built. Every decision you make either strengthens the man you could be or feeds the child you should have left behind. Grow up. Show up. Lead starting with yourself.